Hey everybody. So let's play a tune while we wait. Hey everybody, welcome to the Chord Melody Workshop, which we're kicking off right around 5. And don't mind me while I look at 3 different places, because I have 3 cameras set up to live stream on 3 different surfaces. So as I do this workshop, I'll be glancing around the different cameras and showing the voicings that we're using to each of them. If you haven't gotten it yet, there is a worksheet to accompany this lesson with all the tabs on it. If you're on Instagram, just click the link on my profile. It's the top link right there. YouTube, you're the tough one because it doesn't allow me to have a description, so I'm going to write it in the comments right here. Do-do-dee, do-dee, do-do-do-dee, if I can figure out how to work this thing, which I can't. We'll get that worksheet out there. And Facebook, it's right there. That top link right there is our worksheet. If you have ukulele friends, if you're on Facebook especially, please do share this video right now so that we can share this with as many people as we can. I will have this entire video saved as well so that you can view it later on YouTube and all that jazz. So I'm just going to go ahead and just play a couple more tunes while we wait for people to come in, and then we'll start the workshop about 5 minutes or so. Let's run through a couple chord melody tunes before we kick into this thing. Just a little bit of how about Bye Bye Blues, the old Royce Spec version. little bit of bye-bye blues. It's just about 5 past. So let's start this chord melody workshop. If you're just joining us, please go download the worksheet. It is on the link in my bio. Whatever streaming service you're on, that same link is there. It is the top on my link tree. It is the top one right there. So please go grab that worksheet so we can follow along. But if you can't do that, or you don't have a second device to view it on, if you're watching this on your phone, that's okay. I'm going to break everything down. So we're going to be talking about chord melody style playing this, but specifically in ragtime playing as well. I'm going to show you a couple techniques, and we're going to break down 2 different tunes while we sit here. This is one of the hour to 90-minute courses that I usually teach at ukulele festivals, but it seems like so many of them are not happening now. I thought we could bring this online, and if we all dig this, I'm happy to do one of these a week and just bring you all that we can do here and share some of the knowledge, and we can play some tunes together. So when we talk about chord melody playing, it is much as it sounds in the name. We are able to play both the melody and the harmony at the same exact time. And I do this mostly in strum style. You can also do this as a finger style player, which gives you some more options as well. But I'm more based in the early 20th century things. So we're going to start out, if you look at your worksheet, with a simple arrangement of the 12th Street Rag. And this was a classic piece from the teens that I think most players know. The worksheet is on the link in my profile on YouTube. If you go to the About section, it's right there for you. I unfortunately cannot comment on the video myself, but it is bit.ly-chord melody uke. If you can't find the worksheet, that is the direct link to it. So 12th Street Rag goes a little something like this, and I'm going to break down the entire tune for you in just a moment. That's just a little bit of the tune. The reason I really like this is the vast majority of the tune uses one melodic element throughout, and mostly just 2 chords, of which, if you have your uke with you, you very likely already know these 2 chords. They are C and G7th in root position. So if you look at your sheet, we're going to break this down. We're going to start out by playing just the chords, which are written above the first melodic section there. So all that we're going to do is just strum 8th notes on all of this. So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. It's going to be just like that. You'll see at the end that we do have a couple extra changes. We're mostly going to just focus on the C and G7th chords here because the other voicings are a little bit more difficult, so you'll want to work on them on your own time, but we want to talk about the melody here. So let's strum through just these first 8 bars. That's really the main melodic segment of this tune, is the first 8 bars. So we're going to have 2 bars of C major, which is going to be open, 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 3. And then we are going to have 4 bars of G7, which is open, 2, 1, 2. Just our standard root position voicings. And as I said, we're going to do this with kind of our shuffle strum with just straight 8th notes, with swung 8th notes, I'm sorry. So it's going to sound a little bit something like this. The chord movement that we're doing, and we're just going to throw a melody over top of that. But let's strum those chords first together, just so we can get with where the changes are, and I'm going to yell them out as we have the chord changes in this. Again, we're just doing the first 8 bars of the tune. Currently, it will be 2 bars of C major, 4 bars of G7th, and then two more bars of C major. So let's give this a shot. I'm going to count you all in. It will be swung 8th notes on this entire thing. I will yell out the chord changes. 1, 2, 3, 4. G7. And back to C. Here's the top. C. G7. have that much done, that right hand pattern that we just did is what we're doing for the vast majority of this entire tune. We've made this very simple, so we're just playing eighth notes, and luckily this melodic line is all eighth notes, so that makes it a lot easier for us to put the two together. Now, when we speak of chord melody playing, there's only really three separate ways that we have to peak the melody out over top of the chords in a song. And in this arrangement, we are using the first and really the most effective of them when it's available to you, which is simply to put the highest note in the chord as the melodic note that we wish to use. So for the most part, that means that our melody is going to be entirely on the A string of our uke, which we are doing in this tune. If you look at the tabs with just the melody, not the second page with the harmony, but just the melody itself, you'll see that the entire melody is on the A string. And that means that we can just voice these full chords and strum straight through. We don't have to worry about isolating any individual notes or plucking notes or finger picking. We're just strumming all of our strings, but by moving one finger on our A string, we're able to get the melody to come out. But what I want to do first is just play through the melody for y'all, and then we can play it together as well. It's a very easy melody that's only 3 notes, which is why I like to start with this tune. We just have 3 notes. Those are C, B, and A. C will be on the 3rd fret of your C string, of your A string, I'm sorry. That'll be your C, and then the B will be on the 2nd fret of your B string, and then we have an open A. Nice and easy. And that's going to be our entire melodic line, which will occur over top of both the C and the G7. Now, before we dive into this, what I want to talk about is the placement rhythmically of the changing melodic line, because that's really where the trouble starts here. We have this 3-note pattern, but we're playing in 4/4. So in eighth notes, we instinctively want to have 4 notes going. So as we play this melodic line, although it repeats, it is actually going to get displaced backwards by 1/8 note every time that we do it. It's not going to solve on the same beat every time that we do this, and you need to keep that in mind because that's really the joy of it. And I'm actually going to pull up the chart here so I make sure that I'm playing exactly what y'all are playing over there. I like to play this a couple different ways. So this will be in order, and all we are doing is 3-2 open, 3-2 open, 3-2 open, 3-2 open, and it's all eighth notes. So it's we hold that last one, and then repeat. That's our entire melodic statement of this song, is that right there. Let's try it nice and slowly together. We'll do this a few times just to get it kind of stuck in your ear a little bit. It's not really the most memorable song in the history of the world melodically, so we want to just make sure that this is stuck in our ear before we start doing it. But the big key to this is that we are doing 3-2 open, 3-2 open. So if you look at your chart at the end of the second bar, we will hold 1 open A, and then for bar 4 as well as bar 8, we will just sustain an open A string for that. So I'm going to count you in, and let's try this together a couple times until we're feeling really comfortable about this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold it here and repeat. Here's our whole note. 2, 3, 4, and repeat. Short pause, and repeat. And there is our melodic statement. Let's do that one more time now that we've heard it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. And pause, and repeat. And hold it for 4 beats. 2, 3, 4, repeat. And pause, and repeat. And hold. 2, 3, 4. Very good. So we're going to start right there, and now all we have to do is add in the chords. This is really easy on the C major chord, because with C major, we have open, open, open. So all you're doing with your left hand is identical to what you just did by picking the individual notes. Except we're going to do the same strumming pattern we had before, which if you recall was swung eighth notes, which is exactly what the melody of this song is. The thing that we're going to keep in mind is we need to see where those pauses are, where that quarter note is on beat 4 of bar 2, as well as where the whole note is on beat 1 of bar 4 and bar 8. We're going to strum through these. So our right hand is just going to continue playing those eighth notes here. And if you scroll down to the second page of your chord melody sheet, you'll see that it is now just all swung eighth notes. I wanted you to be able to see the melody and really conceptualize that by itself. Because we don't have much sustain on this instrument, and because we are strumming this, we are taking care of the rhythm, the melody, and the harmony all at once. We need to still have the rhythm going through. So all that we're going to do with our first finger of our right hand while we're strumming is just swung eighth notes. So if you can do this, you're done. So let's try just the first 2 bars of this. So this will be bars 17 and 18. If you're looking at the worksheet, this has it all together. You'll see it's just down, up, alternating strums the entire time. Nothing too fancy. So it's going to sound like this. I'm going to do it very slowly just so y'all can watch my hand. And what I'm going to do is just do these first 2 bars for each camera. So I'm going to do it 3 times, and then I'll count it in, and we'll all do it together. So Instagram, you are first. It's going to sound like this. And hold it. So we just have that down up on the end where we're going to hold that A string. We just don't have to fret anything. Our right hand's doing the same thing. You too. Here you go. And Facebook. Very good. So now let's all try this together. Just bars 17 and 18, which are really identical to bars 1 and 2 if you're looking at the top sheet with just the melody on there. Either one's exactly the same, all over a C major chord. Let's try this a couple times together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure that last down up is all open so that we have that melody essentially ringing out, although we don't actually have the sustain. We get the illusion of the sustain by leaving the string open. Let's try these first 2 bars one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now we need to go on to the next bar here, which is a G7th chord. So we're going to go to our G7th chord, open 2, 1, 2. But we have 2 options here as far as to how we can finger this. You'll note that the first melodic line, remember, is the C on the 3rd fret. So we're actually playing a G7 sus4 here. Is really what. So you can take your 3rd finger and you could just slide it back like this. Or you can use your pinky and your ring finger and do this. Either way works. I alternate them all the time. It doesn't matter whatsoever. So bars 19 and 20 are going to sound like this. We're starting on a G7, except for our ring finger or pinky, whichever you prefer, is going to be all the way up on the 3rd fret there, as opposed to on the 2nd. We're going to slide it down. So very slowly. Again, I'm going to do this for each individual camera, so every service can see all of these. So Instagram, here you go. And we leave it open. So no, we have that open A string on all of bar 20. YouTube. And open. And Facebook. So the melody that's happening in bar 19 is identical to what we just did in bar 17. We're just doing it over top of G7th chord now. Our finger movements are the same. We just have to put down that other simple root position chord, and we are good to go. So let's all try this together. We're starting on bar 19 and going to bar 20. So we're starting on a G7th chord. So everyone, get your fingers ready. Open 2, 1, 3. However you want to cover that 3rd fret right there. It's all up to you. Let's try this a couple times together. 1, 2, 3, 4. And open A string. Let's do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. And one last time, just for the motorcycle that's driving past my house right now very loudly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now let's add that to the C major bar. So we're starting back on bar 17 now. I'm going to play this all for you first. These are just the 4 bars that we have already done. We're just piecing them together. So really all we have to do is get a chord change from a C major to a G7, which is not so bad. It's going to sound a little bit something like this. Let's try that together, and we're going to slow it down quite a bit. I'm going to count in very slow, and then we'll do it a couple more times and build up the speed till you get used to this chord change. This is one of those deceptively simple things. These are root position chords that we've played since we started playing the instrument. But when we throw in these moving lines over top, it's not quite as easy as it used to be. So just take your time with this. We're starting on a C major with our melodic line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Question on YouTube. For the beginning accentuation that I'm doing there, it's a bracciato stroke, but I'm actually using what's called the claw. So all I'm doing is really just dragging all of my fingers across the strings, just to accentuate those notes. It's imprecise. You can just open up your hand and just drag them across the strings, and you'll get that little flamenco sounding stroke. But let's try this passage again, starting on bar 17. We're going to speed it up just a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. G7. Let's bring it up to one more level of speed, and then we're going to move on from this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now we need to move on. They said this is really an 8-bar form. There's a variation the second time, which we're not going to get to in this workshop. We're really just focusing on the fundamentals here. We're staying on that G7th chord. If you remember when we strummed through this, we have 2 bars of C, 4 bars of G7, and 2 more bars of C. But what we need to keep in mind is bars 21 through 24 are the same exact melody that we just played in bars 17 through 20. So what is happening on the A string with our left hand is the same exact thing. You want to listen for that melodic line. But what's different here is the chords are reversed. We're now starting on our G7th chord and resolving to our C major chord. But the melody over top is... just like that. And then we're going to, if we put the chords in, it'll sound a little bit something like this. And again, I'm going to play this for each of the individual cameras. Facebook, you are up first this time. And we just hold that open. YouTube, here you go. We're starting on the G7. Instagram, you're last. Y'all ready to try this one together? It's not so bad, right? We all put this together. It's quite a simple tune with just really 2 chords. So let's try this very, very slowly together. We're going to be starting on bar 21 on the worksheet. So that's our G7th chord. So everyone get your G7th, but starting on the 3rd fret of our A string on that C. So a G7 sus, just like this. Everyone in position. And here we go, nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. good. Now we're going to do that one more time. And when I'm counting in the tune, when I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, I want you to subdivide those swung eighth notes in your head so that we're all coming in accurately with the rhythm. That is one of the toughest aspects of this, if we're playing straight eighth notes the entire time, is to think that in our head. So when I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, what I want you to be counting in your head is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, because that's where we're coming in on that. We want that to be nice and precise as soon as we start. Let's try this again. Starting on the G7th, open, 2, 1, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyone asking if this is going to be saved, it will be. It will be up on YouTube probably tomorrow at some point. So you can view this and you can refresh it and go back if you missed any of the material or you didn't have the worksheet in front of you. We will have this together. But let's try that G7th section one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now let's start at the top of the tune. So we're starting on the C major chord. It's the same melody we just played, just over top of C major chord. So now we're going to have the first 8 bars of this going on. So the thing to keep in mind is as we get to the second line of this, that the G7th is going to remain in place, and we're just repeating that melodic statement over top of a G7th instead of a C as we initially did in the beginning. So let's give this a shot. Nice and slow from bar 17 on the worksheet. 1, 2, 3, 4. G7, stay on the G7, and C. Very good. Now I bet a lot of you are struggling with this melody. It seems really easy because you're just doing 3-2 open, 3-2 open, but as soon as we speed this up, it gets rather tough. So you want to really just isolate this. I think usually on a C major chord, you can just this finger movement is all we're thinking right here. Practice that for a couple minutes a day, and this will seem like nothing, and then you can worry more about the chord changes that are going on. So as we move on in this tune, you'll note that bars 25 through 26 are identical to the first 4 bars of the tune. And then we're just playing it out with a couple bar chords at the end. They're all quarter notes. I'll let you all look over the chart and do that by yourselves because there's nothing really fancy going on there, just some chord voicings you might not be familiar with on a regular basis. So that's a little bit of the 12th Street Rag. There is a link on my website to a free version of the entire the entire arrangement of 12th Street Rag with some extra little things thrown in and also play along video that you can use. If you subscribe on my Patreon channel, I also do have a full lesson just on that arrangement of 12th Street Rag by itself, going over each and every bar of it. But that's one of those staple tunes that as uke players we really kind of want to have in our repertoire. It's one of those standards in the uke world that we should know. So please work on that. After this, if you have any questions, please let me know. We are going to have a little question and answer after this, but we have another tune that we're going to work on right now. And we're just going to do the A section of this tune because I'm going to break down some new techniques for you here. But this is Irving Berlin's Blue Skies, and the A section is going to sound a little bit something like this. So that's really the main basis of the tune here. Now, as I spoke about before, there are really 3 ways that we can address chord melody style playing to really get the melody to come out. In 12th Street Rag, we tackled just putting as the highest note in the chord, which generally means putting it on the A string. And that tune lends itself well to that, but not every tune happens to be contained in this little section of the instrument. We need to be able to play these melodic notes down here. We wouldn't have so much fun if we didn't have 4 strings and we only had 1 to work with. So the 2 other ways that we can go about this. One is very similar. As we talked about having the highest note of the chord, our ear naturally hears that as a prominent tone. And that's important for us. And we can accomplish that by not just putting on the A string, but by doing partial strums. This arrangement here utilizes high G tuning. It is also possible on low G. But if you have a low G uke, all of the open Gs, you can still leave them there, but you're also going to want to play the 3rd fret on your E string as that melodic G. And we'll do this as a partial strum. So if you're looking at the chart, you'll see that the 2nd strum in this is only the top 3 strings. So what I do here, we're playing an E minor 7th chord, which is open, 2, open, 2. Same as a G6th chord that we play later in this piece. Now, we don't really need this, so when we put this down at the beginning, we're going to fret this 2nd fret of the A string, but we're going to release the pressure, so this is actually muted until beat 3 when I need this note. So that way, I don't have to worry about not strumming that extra millimeter into the A string. I am able to simply just strum all the way through my strings. We have the 1 muted note that no one's going to hear whatsoever, and then it comes right out. So if you put down this E minor 7th right now and just mute the A string, just press down but don't fully fret the note, you'll hear that you hear this G is really our highest note in the chord now, as opposed to that B. So the other way that we can coax out a melodic note besides the partial strums is probably the most logical of all, which is to pluck an individual string. And this is really, in this arrangement, serving a dual purpose. And that is that we are using the thumb to pick individual notes, but also to play a bass line on uke, which is pretty darn cool. So our bass line in this, we're going to walk through just the bass line of the first 4 bars first. I want you to play this with me. Because our chord changes, although we're playing an E minor this entire time, we are changing the bass note in this, and we're walking down chromatically. So we're playing an E, a D sharp, a D, and a C sharp. Now, where are these notes? We have our open E string, and we're just going to pluck that with our thumb. We'll let that ring for our purposes currently for 4 full beats. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Then a D sharp, which will be the 3rd fret of our C string. 2, 3, 4. Then our D, we're right on back to our D minor 7th chord here, but we're going to be plucking the 2nd fret of our C string. And then we're going to go down lastly to the C sharp, which is the 1st fret of our C string. So our bass line is going to sound like this, and this will all be with just the side of the thumb, just the fleshy part of it, because we want it to have that nice, warm, fat sound. The cool thing about uke is we get to utilize our entire hand to make different sounds out of this instrument. So what we're going to do now is just the bass line. So it's going to sound like this. Let me play it for you first. I'm going to count myself in so you can hear where the rhythm lies. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3rd fret of C string. 2, 3, 4. 2nd fret. 2, 3, 4. 1st fret. 2, 3, 4. So let's try that together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 3rd fret, 2, 3, 4. 2nd fret, 2, 3, 4. 1st fret, 2, 3. Let's try that one more time. Just the bass line. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 3rd fret, 2, 3, 4. Now the 2nd fret, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now, if we start at the top of this, looking at the 1st bar, we have 2 individually isolated notes. Those are the open E string, and then we have that B on the 2nd fret of our A string. So these are all contained in our E minor 7th chord. So if you put down open 2, like this, and remember for the first 2 beats, we're going to mute this A string. So we're only going to partially play it. So on beat 1, we will play the E, and then we will strum, but with that muted note. So it'll sound like this. So let's try just that much together. Just pluck the E and strum and make sure this B is muted. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try it again. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. Very good. Now, if we are going forward on this, our next note is just our plucked B here. So we will have a second fret of our C string, of our A string, and we will just hit that just like that. So it's going to sound like this. And then we have a down up strum on the end. So I'm going to play bar 1 for each of the cameras here. So Instagram, you're first. It's going to look a little bit something like this. And YouTube. And over to Facebook. And note, everyone, that this hand position is maintaining the same shape the entire time. There's no movement. We're getting all these notes to come out with just using our right hand. Let's all try that first bar together, nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. One more time. 2, 3, 4. Very good. And once more, I lied to you. 2, 3, 4. Very good. So moving on, we're moving the chord now. We're going to an E minor, but we're going to be over a D sharp. Do you remember when we played the bass line? It's just meaning that we're going to play the 3rd fret of our C string here on this D sharp. But the tricky thing here is that we can't have an open E against a D sharp. That's not going to sound so hot. So the way we're actually going to voice this is open, 3, 3, open. So we're doubling the G here. All right, and you'll see that we have a bass note, which will be our thumb on beat 1, which will be a D sharp now, which is the 3rd fret. And then we'll have a partial strum again. If you can do exactly what you did before. You can strum the top 3 strings because the E string is playing the same as your open G. If you are playing a low G uke, you will need to strum all 3 strings and just mute the A string for that first little section there. Now we're doing a split strum here, so this is actually just a variation on the split stroke that we have on beats 3 and 4 of the second bar of Blue Skies. So you'll note that I have marked over top, although this is an 8th note that we would usually play a down up strum on, that would be normal. We are playing down, down, down. And the way we're doing this is for the first strum, we're going to come all the way through, and then we're going to bounce off the G string. So we're only getting, say, the G and the C string in there. It doesn't have to be terribly precise. All right? So we're doing that right there. So let's try just beats 3 and 4. So it's going to sound like this. 1, 2. It sounds, out of context, it sounds a little distant, but once we put in that bass line, you'll see how it sounds. So again, it's going to sound like this. Beats 3 and 4 of that second bar of Blue Skies. So that second strum is just a partial. We're just kind of flicking the G string there a little bit. So now what we're going to do is we're going to play the bass notes on beat 1, which is the C string, the 3rd fret. So remember, we're open, 3, 3, open. Just like this, we're going to pluck. And then our muted strum, so we're making sure not to hit the A string on beat 2. And then we're strumming all the way through, partial, all the way through. This will be best if I just show it to you. Pay close attention to the right hand. There is nothing happening in the left hand. That is the magic of this arrangement. So Instagram, here you go. I'll do it for all 3 cameras. Good. And here you go, YouTube. So pluck on beat 1, and then partial strum, full strum, partial strum, full strum. Good. And next up, Facebook. So let's try that together. Just bar 34, which is the second bar of Blue Skies here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try it again. This is a very tough bar in this tune. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. 2, 3, 4. One more time. 2, 3, 4. Good. Now I'm going to play the first 2 bars of this so you can hear them all together. Listen closely for that bass line that's coming throughout. And we'll resolve it to an E minor 7 there. One more time. It's going to sound like this, and then we'll try it together. And we'll just end up on that E minor 7. Let's try it now. I'll slow it down a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. And resolve to an E minor 7. One more time with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now moving on, we love bar 35 because bar 35 requires us to do absolutely nothing fancy whatsoever. We are just strumming through an E minor 7th chord. We're going to go down, down, up, down, up, down. That's it. Bar 35 will look and sound like this. It's a beautiful thing. We don't have anything to do. Just strum through this melody here. Play that with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 2, 3, 4. Good. Now let's try it from the top. So starting on the original E minor 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now after this, we're going to an E minor over C sharp. Now there's dash chords. They're always telling us what the bass movement is, which in this case makes our E minor over C sharp look suspiciously like an A 7th chord in root position because those are the melody notes that we are using. So in bar 36, it's going to be open 1, open, open. We like this bar. And we're going to be doing all identical to what we did with our right hand in bar 34. We're going to pluck our C string on beat 1, and then we're going to do some partial strums here. That's all. And I have one backwards one here on the worksheet, so I'm going to fix that up, and there'll be a new link as soon as I get done the workshop. 5 minutes when it's on there, because I have one that should be there. It should be partial, full, just like in bar 34. So let's try this again together. So it's going to be, we're going to hit the C string on fret 1 of our C string on beat 1, and then partial strum, partial strum, full strum. So it'll sound like this. Try that with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try it again. 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now let's add the bar before that. So let's start on bar 35. Bar 35 on the worksheet. Now we're going to start on the E minor 7th over D to the E minor over C sharp. It's going to look and sound like this. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, sorry about that mistake on the chart in bar 36 right there. We do have a partial strum, partial strum, full strum. I'll fix that up as soon as I get off here. So let's try this from the top. We almost have this. The second line's much easier, I swear. Starting from the beginning, nice and slow. This is bar 35 on your worksheet, the beginning of Blue Skies. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. now moving on, we're going to a G6th chord, and you'll note that this is exactly the same as an E minor 7th. And if you're wondering why an E minor 7th and a G6th is the same exact chord, please send me a message and I will shoot you a video to explain exactly why those are the same chord. But functionally, we're using them different. So we're going to a G6, which is open 2 here. And we're just going to do 2 down strums on the first 2 beats. And then we're going to pluck our melody note, which happens to be the D, which is the 2nd fret of our C string. This is already down for you. And then it's down up strum. So bar 37 is going to sound like this. I'll do it for each of the cameras. So starting on Instagram. And YouTube. So what we're doing is dropping that thumb down, grabbing the C string. And Facebook, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Let's try that measure together. Bar 37. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now moving on to bar 36, we're just staying right on that chord that we just played. And the best part is that even though we're swapping to a D7th chord on bar 3, we don't in fact have to make any fingering changes because of the melody line that we are playing. So bars 37 and 38, all you have to do is hold down your G6th chord and you're good to go. So bar 36, we're going to have a down up strum, down, and then we're going to pluck our C string and then our E string. And then we'll end on this open G string. If you're playing low G, you can again play that note on the 3rd fret, so you'll have to do 1 fingering change. You'll have to do it like that, but we're plucking the C string, the E string, and then high G, or the 3rd fret, whichever you prefer. It's going to look a little bit something like this. So here's just bar 38 itself. We end on that G. One more time. 3, 4. Down, up, down. C string, E string, G string. Very good. So let's try that together. Just bar 38. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's try from bar 37 now, from the initial G6th chord that we already played. Again, these 2 bars, we have no left hand fingering changes whatsoever. Everything's happening in the right hand. We're just plucking some individual notes with our thumb is all. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try that again together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. And you'll note that in bar 39, we're just strumming through with 8th notes on that G6th chord. Nothing fancy at all. So bar 39, we just have the open G. That's nothing for most of us. Down and up. And then bar 40, we're going to a B7th chord, which is going to be 4, 3, 2, open, just like this. And we have a triplet in here. If you're not familiar with the triplet pattern, please just send me a message after this. I'll send you over a video specifically just breaking that one down. This is the hardest change quarterly in the entire piece, but this is our turnaround that gets us back to the top, so it's very important. So it'll sound like this. One more time. Let's try that together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that B7th from G7th might take you a little bit to get that change going on that right hand there. But that's the beginning of Irving Berlin's Blue Skies. And I will fix up that chart. It'll be the same link, so you can just click it in about a half hour or so, and I'll have that corrected sheet. We just had that little hiccup on one part of Blue Skies there. If you guys do like what I'm doing, this is what I do every week over on Patreon. We release a new lesson like this every month, along with weekly lessons for as low as $3. And we also put up chord charts over there for every tune that I do. I have tabs for every single song that I post, and it's a great way just to support live music when there is no live music in the world currently, which is a scary thing for all of us. So if you like what I do, please sign up on Patreon or hop over to PayPal. I have a little virtual tip bucket. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them now on any of the platforms. I'll do my best to answer them, but feel free also to email me at any time, and I'm happy to just walk you through some of this. If you're having trouble with any of these little sections, I'm always happy to help it out. So any questions, my friends? We're all just hanging out. All right, let me go figure out that fix up that chord chart for you all. We'll get that going, and then I will be live again on Sunday, playing for my hometown of Pittman. They're going to be live streaming one of my performances, and let's do this next week. What do you say? Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I really appreciate it.